Welcome back, Connectors. And we have spoken today about permission and recognition. Right now we ask, what happens when a woman decides that she will no longer make herself smaller to be accepted? Now, author Lovelyn Bassey joins us with her new book, Hear Me Out, that challenges the silence, obedience and labels that can follow women into families, workplaces and leadership spaces. Welcome to the space.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so wonderful to be here.
No, it's really great to be here. Like for anybody that doesn't really know who Lovelyn is, tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to write this book.
So Lovelyn is an entrepreneur. Lovelyn is also a lawyer.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah. And I didn't write it because I love to write, because I still feel like law, we write too much in law.
Yes.
But this book was really inspired by my experiences. Me getting to a point in my life where I realized, I asked myself the question, is this it? You know, married at the time with 3 kids, supporting my mother's business, supporting everybody else's vision, and feeling that I didn't have an original idea for myself. You know, at a point you start to believe you don't actually, and you take a back seat. So I had to ask myself, and this was in the middle of COVID, to say, is this it? Is this all of me?
Yeah.
I wanted to be more. I wanted to help women growing up. And that was why I studied law, to be able to help women through the legal route. And now I'm just a supporting act in everybody else's story. So I then decided, okay, that's it. That's enough. And I'm going to put in the work to discover my voice again, because I have to know what I'm talking about. And I have to know myself, my identity. And the moment I started to do that, I started to embrace it more. Started to say those things that I would have said, I wanted to say before, but held back because I was like,
is this my place as a woman, basically?
Yes, now I'm like, I'm going to say it. How you receive it is actually a matter of you, not a matter of me.
That's true, that's true. That makes me think very deeply about every conversation I've had with my partner as well. But I also want to know, like, you talk about women being taught silence. What does that mean? What do you mean by that?
By that. So it is really the conditioning. So when we are growing up as women, and let's look at the African child growing up first. As you're growing up, it's, shh, don't talk when your elders are talking. Know your place. And as you start to grow, you start to see that favor given to boys, that boys are listened to over girls, and it's that thing of silence. And then there's a hierarchy that starts being created. So they create this hierarchy where it's the men who all speak, including the boy who is there and you're older than the boy. But because he is male, he speaks first and then you go in. After a while, you get to the point where you ask yourself, is it really even worth giving my opinion, because nobody's going to listen? And even if they listen, they don't care, they don't implement it. And that becomes silence that you were taught, and becomes a condition that stays with you through your life. Even when you get married, you then measure your words. You then make sure that you don't shake the system. You don't want to upset the system, because you don't want to be blamed for, oh, God forbid, you ruin things, it's your fault. So that silence you were taught, and let me just say this, it's not so much about men teaching the silence. And I speak about this in my book. A lot of the teaching is done by women, unfortunately, and they do it from a place of love. I say clearly that I am not about bashing women, but our mothers want us to survive in the world that they grew up in. Our aunties want us to thrive in the world that they grew up in. So they are teaching us all of these lessons that they have learned in our interest. They're trying to protect us. But what they don't know is they are silencing us in the process. So you have to kind of take your voice back, own your voice, and start to undo all of those teachings that has been so hardwired into you, in your best interest. Let's put it that way.
No, and I think, you know, when you speak about that, it reminds me of something in your book about talking about obedience being a trap. So if you can perhaps help for those that still gonna buy the book, they have to get the book. I love the cover of the book, I must say. Wow. It is a much of a wow. So take us through that, please.
So growing up, we're taught obedience is better than sacrifice. So I understood it to be, listen, if you don't obey, we're going to isolate you. And because of that, I obeyed everything. They told me, do this, I do that. They tell me, study this, I studied it. Everything I was told, I did. Listen, I was the child that did everything I was told. Well, I was stubborn.
Okay.
I took chances, but then I was brought back in line very quickly.
Very quickly, yeah.
And that obedience, it does something to you, because even when you start working, I've worked in corporate as well.
Okay.
It's that obedience. What did my boss say? Okay, I'm just going to obey blindly. I'm not even going to contribute, because if I contribute, they might not like it. They might not take it well. I have had a situation in corporate where I was contributing because the director of the department said I could. She gave me this free rein, like, oh, Lovelyn, I like your ideas, just say it. And I was like, okay, I have other people above me. Okay, just say it.
Yes.
And then I said it, and the next person under her, these are all women, by the way, the next person under her was heard banging on her table in her office. I hate Lovelyn, I hate her, I hate her, I hate her.
How can you hate
Lovelyn? Even my name tells you that I am love personified. But she was so upset that my voice, that I dared to use my voice. As far as she was concerned, I needed to obey, know my place, and sit there.
Yeah.
Now, that obedience, one needs to be careful that you don't obey to the point where you are where you get into a self-betrayal mode. You're betraying yourself, you're betraying what you stand for, you're betraying everything that you believe in just to obey. And that is something we need to walk back.
Yes.
You need to start trusting yourself. Am I going to obey, which leads to self-betrayal? Or am I going to be loyal to myself and my voice, which means you'll be labeled as too much or a rebel? But then again, if they call you too much, the question is, am I really too much, or am I making you uncomfortable? So let's be clear about which it is.
You know, you're speaking about walking back, so if we can walk back to when she was pounding on the table. See, I go for dinner, I like things, but she was pounding on the table. What is it that you think that she really, it angered her so much about you having a voice at that moment?
It was the fact that my voice was being placed above hers, even though she was my superior. So I was listen, I was even a temp. I didn't even have a permanent contract. I was standing in for a pregnant lady, and I just wanted a job to do and research. And I was there, I was given the opportunity. I was so grateful to be there. So I really wanted to contribute. I was enthusiastic, but she misinterpreted my enthusiasm as if I was challenging her authority, as if I was making her look bad. And really all of this was partly because I recommended that a TV be put in the office so we could watch the news. And the boss thought it was a great idea. And she was upset because she didn't want a TV in the office. So, like, how do you hate me because of a TV? So I think that made her feel uncomfortable. And one of the things that I've come to learn, and I would say I forgot that story. If I'd learned the lesson then, maybe something that happened years later, like 2 years ago, wouldn't have happened, because then I would have known that when I am rising and when I am shining, I need to be aware of what that is doing to people around me and take their feelings into consideration. There's a way to present things. And there's a way to make sure that others are also protected in the process. I was younger then. I know better now.
You know better now.
Yes.
And you always speak about permission and also, you know, getting, being chosen. People are waiting for that. Why is that, and what do you think is that stopping the person that is waiting for the right moment?
Let me give you an example. When you were growing up and you wanted to take ice cream from the freezer, could you just walk into the freezer and take it?
No. My father was in the police. I felt like his eyes were everywhere.
Exactly. You see that? That is permission, needing permission. So we put it into our children, and over time, you start needing permission to even speak. And back in the day, if you wanted to speak to your parents, you needed to ask permission, like, excuse me, can I speak to you now? Now it's, the children of this, my kids just badge in and it's free for all.
That's true.
Even when you're in the middle of an online meeting, you're like, I'm in a meeting, out.
But I want noodles.
But I want noodles, and those noodles are very important. So you see, that whole permission cycle, it gets put inside of you. And the thing is, some of the things we teach our children, we want them to be rounded human beings. But we also have to be careful that they are able to distinguish what it is we want them to apply at home and what is acceptable in the workplace.
Yeah.
Because that same spirit of permission, that same I want permission to do this, I want permission to do that, they take it out there into the world. I was waiting for permission to do almost everything. I needed to ask for permission to to travel. You know, one of the things someone said, oh, they thank your husband for letting you travel, they thank your wife for letting you travel. There is that permission. And it's, you know, it's one thing to take your partner into consideration, but when they have the final say into whether you move or you stay against what your vision and your value is, then there is a problem with that. So permission has to be separated from consideration. I can take your feelings into consideration. I can take where you are at into consideration. But if I want to do something based on my values, based on what I believe is aligned to my vision and my purpose, I should not need your permission to do that. Like, it's almost like asking for permission to be alive at the end of the day.
That's true.
If we are all here for a purpose, and nobody has the right to actually prevent someone else from living out their true purpose on this earth. And I see so many women not speaking up, feeling like they need permission. Even it is so bad that you would see a woman who wants to sell data. Yeah. Let's assume, you know, by the street, you want to sell data or something. And she would need permission from her husband to just make that little money. And it's money she just needs to, and there's something about money. If you're able to bring in an income, it gives you so much power. You feel that self-worth, you feel that value. And that is also taken away from them when they need that permission to do something so little. And that permission is also tied to control. So if you need my permission to do something, then I'm actually in control of you all the way through. So we need to also be careful. Who are we requiring permission from? Do we really need their permission? Ask yourself, why do you even require that permission to start with? If you cannot answer that question objectively, then there's a problem that needs to be addressed.
Oh, I mean, that permission sounds impossible.
It is a catch-22, actually. It's a catch-22, especially in family dynamics. It is a catch-22. And that's why you have to have an understanding partner. If you both understand each other and where you're coming from and where you're both going to, then asking for permission is not like, it's a courtesy. Because you're not, you know they understand where you're coming from. But when permission is being used as a source of control, that needs to be broken.
Oh, And I mean, somebody picking up this book, I don't know how they're going to be able to put it down, but I definitely feel it would be good for men as well to read this book. I don't think this is a male bashing moment. I think this is very good to understand, and also for us that have daughters as well, to helping them find their own voice better, you know, and also knowing when to not even have to ask for permission is also very important as well. But that would be my takeaway so far. I'm not done yet. So.
Oh, perfect. I love your takeaway so far. Yes, I love that.
So what would you like everybody else to that's going to be grabbing this book, that's going to be buying this book? What must they take away from it?
So I like the fact that you brought men to the party. I'm like, I want men to come to the party. Men just need to look past the bottom part that says the audacity to lead as an African woman. Just close that part and buy the book, because the title is so shocking. Men instantly go to it's a male bashing thing. But no, here is the thing. I believe that if you have a woman who understands herself and her identity, you are way better off. Who wants a puppet? Why do you want a puppet? What is the point of a puppet? So when you read the book, there are actually closing exercises at the end of each chapter. And I want you to write them, to go through those exercises, because they are helping you recognize yourself better. They're helping you recognize where you need to grow. There's a chapter that talks about you being the value, and you have to ask yourself, what value do I bring to the table as well? And what is my intrinsic value? Not looking for somebody else to tell me what my value is. And then there is the part that talks about money control. Because you cannot if you try to separate your value from money, I know people like to say money is the root of all evil. No, it's the love of money. And in any case, we all love money because we have to buy petrol and the rest. Like
That's true,
we want the finer things of life. How do we think we'll get them? So there is that, and there is the portion about legacy. What are you leaving behind? What are you teaching others? So I want people to go through each and every chapter, do the exercise, and at the end, I want you to audit your leadership. At the end of the day, you need to come out of the other end understanding that leadership can be learned by anybody willing to grow.
No, fantastic. Thank you very much. I feel I've grown in this conversation as well. Thank you very much for just helping out and just letting me understand that, you know, I think value is a very important thing, because how can somebody value you if you don't value yourself?
That is true.
Well, we've got more Eintlek Let's Connect coming right after the break, and it was so great chatting with Lovelyn today, and only on SABC2, it's because you belong.